Now I'm very excited to welcome back a wonderful sports bettor and great friend of the show, and Mr. Will Hill from Bear Bets, VSiN, and the Gold Boys Discord and new podcast, my man. You can follow Will at Not The Will Hill on X. Will, thanks for coming on the show. I already have listened to a few episodes of your new show. Can you tell us about it, man?
It's called Shoulda Bet More. One word, it shoulda bet more, which I think we've all said at times is better. Sometimes, once a day, sometimes once a week. So it's fun. I've had some great guests. I've had Gil Alexander, Chris Felica, Aaron Schatz, and Mike Sandu, who are NFL awards voters. So it was interesting to get a peek into their brains in terms of what they were thinking. I got to have you on at some point. I was thinking this week, but I was doing this one with you, so it was a little too repetitive. So maybe the next week or two, we can go over some playoff games. But on Monday, I had Steve Fezzik on, professional sports bettor. We broke down all the wildcard games, and then he gave a 5-minute tutorial that you have to listen to on going to Vegas, how to drink for free, how to eat for free, how to get things comped, how to save money. It is absolutely must listen to. So should have bet more. I urge everyone to check that out.
That's the Monday episode?
That was the Monday episode.
Okay, cool. Now everyone needs to know that because you can get I mean, if you're going up to the bar and you ask for a double, it's $40 these days. If you're in some sort of club or even at just one of the popular pools, it's absolutely ridiculous.
More like a blank check, more like just, hey, they read in the number.
Yeah, I know. It's a really bad number too. It's almost like 2 vacations in one in a way, minus the hopefully you win, right?
Right.
There's a lot of ins and outs I've learned over my past 21 years now of going to Vegas. So I've got a few of them down, but hey, I'm always willing to listen to Fezzik. So I'll definitely cue that baby up right after this show. But hey, it's a massive weekend. We got a lot of great stuff happening. We got NFL, we got college basketball, we got Black Monday, but I'm going to call it Black Wildcard Week because these coaches are dropping like flies, aren't they, Will?
By the time people listen to this, who knows who else is going to retire, be fired? Who knows? I mean, it's really sort of eerie, isn't it? Like all the comparisons between Belichick and Saban, all the winning they've done, they're the same age about. One's you could say the GOAT with the NFL coaching, the others you could say the GOAT with college football coaching. They were together with the Browns, so they're always linked together. The fact that they're both out. Basically, I don't know if it's the same day that news came out. I think, sometime when we were asleep on the East Coast, the Belichick, I'm not sure what time exactly that broke, but basically within the same 24 hours. It's just so eerie. The Belichick one we all saw coming. The Saban one was a bit more of a shocker. And then Pete Carroll, who's a borderline Hall of Fame coach himself, he's out, which that was probably the most surprising of all of them.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought Pete Carroll was definitely the most surprising. I thought I thought they'd give him another year. I mean, it's funny. You can forget about Arthur Smith, Ron Rivera, McDaniels, Staley, and Frank Reich. I mean, there's plenty of reason for that. Right. But when you see Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and Mike Vrabel losing their job, it's almost like I said earlier, careful what you wish for type thing, because it's not like great NFL coaches are growing on trees and everyone wants to try something new. And then all of a sudden you turn into the Chicago Bears, a team that hasn't won in years. And there's other teams that have done that in the past. Luckily for some teams, they keep striking gold. The Packers seem to be pretty good with LaFleur right now, and they've had their championships. A few of them, they probably should have won more. But, there's other organizations. The Chiefs with Andy Reid definitely struck gold. The Eagles got rid of him. But the Eagles have kind of, found Sirianni and their guys, and Doug Peterson, of course, and some organizations can do it and they have a good culture of winning, and some don't. So my thoughts are, even though we knew Bill Belichick this was going to happen because they wanted to have a little bit more control, and I would too after some of his decisions, it's still very surreal, man, isn't it?
It is. It just goes to show you, I mean, it's just part of life. That all the sayings, all good things come to an end. Father Time's undefeated. We know it. We hear it. We say it. But when it actually comes to fruition, like the fact that Brady left the Patriots and played with the Bucs almost feels like a fever dream to some extent. And the fact, one day LeBron James is going to retire. And the fact that Saban and Belichick, you just assume those guys would, even though it's not logical, you just assume those guys would be in those positions forever. So different routes. I think Saban used the word retire. I would imagine he goes to whatever, College Game Day on ESPN. That show could certainly use a boost. When he goes to Fox or whatever, he'll I would think do media. He's the kind of guy, he doesn't want to just sit around on the porch all day. He's going to want to at least, go somewhere and just work 30 days a week, do some shows, be involved a little bit to keep his juices flowing to some extent. Belichick is a different story where he's going to go. I mean, all these coaches can't go to the Chargers. We think Harbaugh's going to go to the Chargers. Maybe Belichick goes to the Chargers. They can't all coach Herbert. You're going to have to go somewhere else. We're starting to see some smoke maybe with the Falcons job, which, man, there are a few things that are stranger in the world than Bill Belichick, Atlanta Falcons head coach. That just doesn't sound right to say. It doesn't hear right, but I guess that's what's going to happen. It's interesting. With Belichick, you kind of feel like it's got to be a situation where it's a quick fix, sort of like when Brady went to the Bucs, where, hey, this isn't a 5-year rebuild. Let me go to a ready-made roster. Boom, we can win right away. Brady obviously did. If you're Belichick, you want to go somewhere where at least there's some pieces in place. Now, they don't have a quarterback, but they got a pretty good defense. They got 1 million top 10 picks on offense. You got to go somewhere because Belichick's not going to be coaching wherever he goes. He's not going to be coaching there 6 years from now. It's got to be, hey, I can win within the next 2 or 3 years. Belichick can come in, coach my defense, coach my X's and O's, figure out a quarterback, and then I'll be in good shape. Plus, it's a decent division. So maybe Atlanta's the landing spot here for.
And I would have thought it was Carolina before that too, but you're right; they're not even close right now, especially with when they gave up their draft picks. I mean, my Bears would have been great for him. I'm not sure if I would have loved it as much. I'm not a huge Belichick fan, but I mean, new quarterback you can get with the first pick, and he could have to say in that. But they're hanging on to Eberflus, which is very Bears-like. It blows my mind why. If you're gonna reset something, just reset it. Unless you're really sticking with Fields, why would you keep it makes no sense to me. If you push the reset, you should do it. Now you got some talent there, you have a lot of upside, but I would have preferred Harbaugh, but Kevin Warren and him don't really get along that well, and that's why he wasn't even discussed. So that's another issue with my Bears. But yeah, just craziness in the NFL, and we'll see who else's drops, because I think I counted 8 of them so far. I don't know what the over-under on it was. I thought it was like 7 or 8. Maybe it was 7. I don't know. It seems like it's getting up there.
Who do you think coaches Bama?
I mean, if it was me, I'd hire Kalen DeBoer, but I don't know. I'm not sure if they're looking for a Pac-12 offense type that. I think they might look within their own SEC in a way. It's
a tough job.
Tough.
I mean, it's a very tough job. That's not, on one hand, hey, it's Alabama. That's as good a job as there is. But man, you want to be the guy that replaces the guy. You don't want to be, or you want to be the guy that replaces the guy that replaces the guy. You want someone to go there, struggle for 3 or 4 years, then take over, then be the guy that brings it, because nothing you can do is good enough.
You can't
following Saban.
Yeah, I know it makes no sense. Even though it's the number one job you can have, from a pressure standpoint, it is the worst, because you have to start from the top. You want to pick up a team from the bottom that has, assets and has money and, investment and boosters and things like that. Kind of like when LSU obviously hired the Notre Dame coach, right? Kelly. Right. I think that was why he did that. So you get to resurrect something, then take it down. It'll be your fault, and they'll look at you as a bad coach, even though it might not be your fault. But now with all the changes, who knows? You got 12 teams of playoffs, and I thought Dan Lanning was a good name for it, but I think he said no. Who do you think?
I think your guy DeBoer. Colin Cowherd tweeted this out, and sometimes, he's got sources. He said a pretty good source told him that they've had their eye on DeBoer. I think there's another piece to this here. Saban didn't just wake up yesterday morning, have breakfast, eat lunch, and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to retire. This had to be in the works for a little bit. I don't think he would have blindsided Bama. So there was probably an exit plan, a plan in place where they've got an idea of who they want. They've got an idea if that guy is interested in them, and there's something in the works. This isn't just, oh my God, we lost our coach. What are we going to do? I feel like this has been in the works for a little bit. I did my pod with the Bear Bets podcast, and Bear was saying, he was talking to his buddy, and before the SEC title game, there was a hot mic that caught Kirby Smart and Saban talking, and Kirby Smart said to him, "Hey man, congratulations on your career. You deserve this," something along that line. So my guess is there was a plan in place. DeBoer would make sense. He's almost like a young Urban Meyer, where he can come in and just move your offense. We'll see if he can recruit like Urban Meyer did, but he can, create a lot of open space. He can be fun to play for these guys. If you go to him, you're going to have a chance to be in the NFL. So again, that's a tough spot, but they'll get somebody.
If I was going to throw a wild card out there from the Pac-12, maybe Jed Fish. And the reason because he was quarterbacks coach for New England,
Mhm.
which is Belichick Saban friendship. And
Good
there
coach
could,
too.
yeah, that could be just like the wild card situation. I mean, if they throw out a line and you're getting 100-1 on Jed Fish,
A
we'll
lot of
see.
these a lot of those markets though, I mean, some of these offshores post them for publicity. A lot of these markets, it's
Yeah,
like 25 max to
yeah.
win 500. They do it more to get people tweeting and retweeting. You go to bet it. I've gone through this. We're like, oh, I like that bet. You go to bet it and they take like $20. So
Well, you and
a
I
lot of it's just
both been through it.
marketing.
We
Yeah.
talked about this a lot. Will we love it, man? Oh, it's
Which is really cheap. It's a cheap way of getting publicity because they act like they're posting the line, but they're really not.
oh yeah, Super Bowl props too. You can't get down over 25 on one of these offshores.
Right.
It's kind of silly, but it is what it is, and that's what we have to deal with. But we have a whole slate of NFL games, baby. And I made a few bets now. Well, I was thinking before you came on, I was like, let's just get this out in the open. We're teasing the Cowboys and the Texans. I mean, seriously, that was the first teaser I made. I mean, I think that I've listened to a couple of your shows this week and other shows, and people seem to agree, and I agreed with it too. I took it right away. We don't need to handicap it just yet, but I think the two most common bets are Kansas City. Some people got 3.5, some people got 4. I personally got a nice money line number and a little bit of the 3.5. But I mean, do you agree with those two?
Yes, I do. I'd have a hard time seeing the Browns win by double digits, basically in Houston on the road with Flacco, with all the offensive line issues. Again, anything can happen. It's the NFL. It's one game, but I think that's a good bet. And I'd have a hard time seeing Dallas lose to Green Bay. I think Green Bay will move the ball. I don't love laying 7.5 with Dallas, but that's why you tease. That's why those teasers can be so valuable when you pick your spots right. So nothing more to add. Dallas, Houston, all Texas teaser. Let's send it in. Let's hit it.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason, and I don't just throw this out there. I did it because it's just the early sharper plays. Let's just get them off the table. Now we'll start handicapping a little bit. We got the Browns at the
Sure.
Texans. Texans plus 2.5. Totals 44.5 when I wrote it. Things do move. So I'll start on this one. Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm actually pretty close to making a Texans bet besides the teaser. I mean, will it hit 3? I'm not sure.
There were 3s. They seem to have all gone away. There were 3s though here and
There
there.
were juice 3s mostly.
Yeah.
I saw those 3s too. You wonder when someone's going to make a stance on this. Now, if you look at the pure numbers, I mean, they're not that different. I guess from an equality standpoint, Browns rush EPA is number 21. Texas rush EPA defense is 6. Texans number 26 on defense on offensive. On offensive EPA, and the Browns are number 15th. On running. So I think that it's almost like they kind of mix with each other. Their pushes, but each has an advantage on defense. There, kind of looks towards the under a little bit. The same thing with the pass. The Browns have been very bad at pass, but now they have Joe Flacco, right? The Texans are 20th pass defense. Are the Browns really the 28th pass EPA, or are they actually better than that if you're going to look at the last 3 weeks? Here's the problem with looking at the last 3 weeks, Will. They played freaking tomato cans. They played the Texans without their quarterback. The Bears. I have to look at the schedule. I think there's a couple other really bad teams that Flacco got. Very
Jets.
good benefit. Yeah, Jets. There it is. I mean,
And then they mailed it in against Cincy, so you don't know.
Exactly. They mailed it against Cincy. So it's funny. You hear all this Flacco fever. It's like, who did he play, dude? It's so funny how the media just jumps on stuff like that. But that's why you're not going to probably get a 3. And if you're not going to get a 3, I almost kind of like the 2.5 a little bit more. I think the Texans are, CJ Stroud, you never really want to bet on rookie quarterbacks in the first round of the playoffs. But man, this guy looks poised. They at least got a healthy Nico Collins now. I think there's a chance Noah Brown comes back or Woods. They can run the ball a little bit. I do like the Browns defense. If the Browns defense can certainly shut down make a good pass rush for Myles Garrett there, that's very dangerous. But to be honest, I'm close to 2.5, but I'm not there. I'm just going to keep it as a teaser for now.
It's so important with these games lined around 3 to make sure you're getting the best of the number. And again, we agree most of the 3s are gone, if not all the 3s are gone. But just as a thought exercise, hey, if you like the dog, shop for the 3. If you like the favorite, make sure you're laying the 2.5. Do not lay 3 when you could have laid 2.5. So important with all these games lined around 3. That being said, the live markets are so sensitive. And you know this if you follow live betting, where all week it's 2.5, all week it's 2.5. And then let's say Cleveland gets the ball first down, and they get like a first down or two, and they have the ball midfield. That line's going to be 3.5 before you know it. So you could always wait, but just for the sake of, hey, we'll deal with the line where it is right now. I'll take the points with the better quarterback with the home team. So I got three things in my favor. I got the points, I got the home team, and the better QB. And Stroud is the better QB in this matchup. And I'll just go that way. They played Christmas Eve. It was 36-22. You could throw that game away. That was no Stroud. You figure people looking to play props. Oh, Amari Cooper killed him last time. Let me play an over. You think from the time the Texans coaching staff wakes up, from the time they go to bed all week, is going to be, that is not happening again with Amari Cooper. So maybe you're a little counterintuitive and you take an under on Cooper. Maybe that opens things up for more guys like Njoku or whoever. But to me, it's the dog here plus the point. Should be a good game. I wouldn't be like, would you be shocked if this is 23-20? It lands right on Cleveland by a field goal. Wouldn't be shocked, but I'll take the Texans plus the points.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I'm going to be taking the Texans here. I have no rush to it. I'm happy with my teaser leg as well. So we'll go to the next game. We have the Miami Dolphins at the Kansas City Chiefs. Now the Chiefs are up to -4.5 in most books. The total is 44 right now. It's a pretty low total. It's supposed to be pretty cold up there from what I'm hearing. And why don't you start with this one?
With the numbers, you can't get to 4.5. With purely numbers, it would be Miami. But this is a situational play. I'll take Kansas City. Rest. Miami was on a short week here. They are on a short week. They played Sunday night. Now they got to play Saturday. Kansas City could basically use this as a mini bye. Remember, Kelsey's older. He's banged up. Maybe you see a little more juice out of Kelsey with the week off, basically 2 weeks off, where he can rest and start to look like the player he was last year and in the past. And I just think Miami's so beat up on defense. I don't know about you. I'm still an old school guy where I take notes, pen and paper. If you start to write down the Dolphins injuries, you're going to run out of ink so quickly. I mean, you're going to be at Staples before you know it, getting more pens. They are so beat up on defense. Exactly. There it is.
I do all kinds of pen and paper, my friend.
So rest, injuries, and the situation. Tua has two fatal flaws. He struggles in the cold and he struggles with pressure. And Spagnuolo is really a good defensive coordinator. He's going to know how to bother Tua. And people can point to the game last year. Remember, they played at Buffalo around Christmas, and it was supposed to be really bad weather, and Tua played well. But the weather didn't end up being that bad. It was pretty mild. This is not going to be the case. It's going to be single-digit temperatures. I don't know if he has the arm strength to cut through the cold, cut through the wind. I know, McDaniels is great at scheming offense, but you have to wonder about where Miami's head is at, too. All year, they're flirting with the 1 seed, best team in the conference. Could this team go to the Super Bowl? Now you got to come all the way out of the 6th spot on the road, blow the division. They're beat up. We know this is not a vintage KC team, but the spot screams Kansas City. So I'll lay the points here with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the situation where one team's down and Kansas City kind of has a mini bye and they get the rest. They're good players. Kelsey, instead of getting those 19 yards or 16 or whatever they were to get 1,000 yards, he said, I'm resting. I think that makes a statement a little bit. And I think the Chiefs kind of come back to being the Chiefs a little bit, at least for this game. I took it at money line and I was under -200. That's gone. But I also took it a little bit at the -3.5. It switched right to 4 right when I did that. I think that in this situation, the 5 linebackers, 5 of them, and linebackers / edge rushers are gone. Van Ginkel was fantastic. He used to be a Badger. I used to follow his career. And then, of course, losing Jalen Phillips before that was worse. It's like this team is so beat up. I don't know how they're going to start Pacheco. Everyone thinks Mahomes this. Pacheco has been just a fantastic runner, and I might be taking some props on Pacheco for this game as well. So I'm going to be looking in the prop market a little bit too. I think you're going to find some value, especially if they're holding on to a lead. I will say that last game they played, there was a little bit of a misleading final score. Tyreek Hill had that fumble that I kind of thought was an incomplete pass, and they scored on that. Really flipped the game a little bit. But now you got Tyreek Hill. His house burnt down. I think his house has to be totaled, right? I think that thing might be done. Not sure, but there's a pretty big fire at his house, and you have Waddle with some injuries.
Right. Even Hill bounced up, popped up on the practice report with an ankle, with a quad. I think he came off the field for that last play where Tua forced an interception. I don't think he was on the field. So he's been fighting stuff for the last few weeks or so.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's and in Miami is like, I heard like a very bad stat under 40 degrees. Tua is like 0-9 or something under 40 degrees. It was a massive stat. And you still have Xavier Howard, their cornerback, is doubtful. A couple linemen a little bit questionable too. Eichenberg and Terran Armstead might. Bradley Chubb's been out for a couple weeks since December. Yeah, it's over for this team, unfortunately. I think if you're a Dolphin fan, just be happy you made the playoffs. I'd still lay it at 4.5. I just prefer the money line in case an offense like that could backdoor it. So that's kind of what I look into. Let's move on to the next game. Pittsburgh Steelers versus Buffalo Bills. And this baby is high at 10, -10. Total is 35.5, Will. Wow, that's a low total, my man. What do you got going on?
Can't lay 10 in a game that's totaled at 35.5. I don't trust the Bills as a double-digit favorite. How could you? It's funny. On Bear Bets Pod, like a month or so ago, I suggested Bills 50-1 to win the Super Bowl. Now they're down to like 6-1. And usually when you get something at 50-1 and it's 6-1, you feel great about it. I don't. This team's not winning the Super Bowl. This team has all sorts of flaws. Even beating Miami the other night, they just leave you feeling empty. They leave you feeling lukewarm. They struggled to beat the Chargers as big favorites, struggled to beat the Patriots as big favorites. They didn't cover either of those games. I don't know. There's too much variance with Allen to lay the points here. He's too turnover prone. Tomlin's good as a dog. And again, when there's winds, the wind's supposedly 50 miles an hour. It's Steelers or pass for me. I don't know that I'll get the Steelers plus 10. I think this line is just a little bit inflated to take it out of teaser range because there are 6-point teasers, 6.5, 7. At 9.5, you can use a 7-point teaser. At 10, you can't. So I think this is just artificially inflated a little bit. So it would be a lean towards the Steelers. I did play a couple props here, and these are dropping. So I mean, you get to a point where they're not as playable, but both quarterbacks under passing yards. Rudolph was around 160 something and a half. Allen's 218 and a half. Again, shop around. Those 2 yards can make a lot of difference. It just reminds me with that win. Again, we're a few days away. Who knows how accurate these reports are going to be? But remember that Monday night game, Bills Patriots 2-3 years ago. Nobody could throw the ball. It was just basically like each team running the wing tee. And each guy, I think Mac Jones threw it once, maybe twice. Allen threw it a handful of times. You could be looking at a similar type of game where nobody can throw it. Under passing yards for both guys is a prop for me, a bet for me.
Yeah, under passing yards, I can definitely see that. Did the Bills play the Ravens this year?
No,
they did not. They got the Chiefs because of the number 1. Yeah, okay. So I was curious about that. They got the Chiefs, and I thought they got Cincinnati. Okay, yeah, the Ravens were number 2 or 3 last year. Yeah, I'm happy about my Ravens bet. I actually kind of like the Bills to beat them and shock them a little bit.
Wow.
I know. I think some teams just match up better against each other. I think the Ravens matched up well against San Fran, but I just kind of think that the Ravens can be beat. And I know they do a lot with nothing, but Lamar Jackson is very – I guess if you look at Josh Allen as a very high variance quarterback, Lamar Jackson can have some variance too, because when they've blown so many freaking leads with him out there dancing around with the ball. I mean, can both Harbaughs do it in 1 year? Are you serious?
I worry. That's the thing. I worry if that's ever the game, Bills Ravens AFC title game, and we're a long way from that, even though it is certainly possible, certainly looming. I worry about McDermott in a big spot because he gets very conservative. 4th and 1 will punt. He gets a little tight, a little conservative for my liking. So that is something to keep in mind. And again, looking ahead, I hope we get Chiefs Bills, not only for the sake of our bets, but to me, that's a great game. Mahomes' first road game in his postseason career. The Bills, they finally get the bully in their own building. If you can't beat the Chiefs this year, when you're at home, when the Chiefs are sort of neutered on offense, you basically feel like you're never going to beat them. So that sets up to be the game of round 2 if we do get Bills Chiefs.
Very exciting. And Bills, from that win in Miami, getting those 2 home games is massive.
Huge.
It's just so cold and rainy and snowy. It's going to be snowy probably. Now, you expect Buffalo to be better in the snow, but that wasn't like that against Cincinnati last year. I mean, it's almost like they were a finesse team, but I think they're being a little bit more powerful now. Their running game has improved. Since week 13, their defense is ranked 6th in EPA. So even though the Milano injury has been killing them all year, it's kind of like they seem to figure it out a little bit. TJ Watt being out is huge. I think it's hard to put a number on him. I almost think he's worth a point, being such a good defender.
I think that's fair for sure.
Yeah, and I think I have Buffalo by 9. I can't get to 10. I'm not laying 10. And plus the weather in itself tells you to look under and dog. I took an alternate under earlier in the week. My 37.5. I paid -128 on it. I couldn't give that out or nothing. That's you can't give that out. But it's just I just took it as a personal play. That thing's higher now, and I think this under might get down to 32, 31. To be honest with you, I'm scared about it a little bit because you have Josh Allen against a suspect Steelers defense that ranks they're pretty bad against the run and the pass. I think the Steelers are in the 20s, an EPA, defensive EPA, both against the run and against the pass. So I know they made a hell of a run to make the playoffs. I expect the Bills to win this game. It could be ugly. It could be like a 16-3, 6, something like that, 16-6 maybe. I think it could be just that ugly of a game where the Bills just get it in and they don't. Let's move on to and I'll just lean to the under then on this. So that's my final thoughts. Packers versus Cowboys. Cowboys minus 7.5, total 50.5. The Mike McCarthy revenge game, maybe. I thought we might have had this already once or twice, but here we are again. Mike McCarthy could take his old Packers out. The man who lost the job to the LaFleur, and he should. Dallas at home is just so much different than on the road, and the Packers did a lot to get here. But let's face it, they also kind of had a little bit easy of a finish to the season. If you want to look at like the Cleveland Browns and what the Steelers had to do with playing that Ravens team with nobody was really nice for the Steelers in a downpour. That sure worked out for them. Packers look great, and Jordan Love looks great. Their schedule is like bottom 26th or 27th rank. I want to see Jordan Love another season before I completely decide on if he's good. But the Packers are 22nd in rush EPA on defense and 23rd in pass EPA on defense. I think the Cowboys can eat them alive. CeeDee Lamb has been just ridiculously good, like top 3 good. He really made a big step up this year. I watched him and he's just amazing. It's like, geez, there's some really good receivers still in the NFL. We forget about like DK Metcalf and stuff like that. It's just funny. It's like CeeDee Lamb. He's going to be a key factor in this game. Dallas is just more battle tested. They had a harder schedule. They have a 0.4 net yards per play advantage. If you look at home road splits, they have a 0.7 net yard per play advantage. Is it enough for me in the hook? No. I got Dallas minus 7. It's not worth a bet for me, but it's one hell of a teaser leg. And as we said earlier, I'm teasing these guys with the Texans. Will.
There's a lot I like here. My favorite bet in this game, I'll just cut right to it. You hinted at it. Cowboys team total over 30.5, averaging 37.5 per game at home. 8-0 at home straight up. Now, their last month or so, think about the games they played at home. Seattle didn't cover, could have lost. Detroit didn't cover, probably should have lost. So they've beaten up on some bad teams at home, the Jets and the Patriots. The Packers, I think, will move the ball, so you worry about a backdoor. Dallas is a teaser leg. If that's my last leg, if I get my Texans leg home and I have Dallas sitting here as the last leg and I can get a 7.5, I might go for the middle for at least half of it and play Green Bay. I could see Green Bay moving the ball here. So, I wouldn't be surprised if this is, 35-21 late, and then Green Bay drives and gets a backdoor touchdown, something like that. So, Dallas team total over is my best bet, and I'll just leave it at that. Dallas is the teaser. Dallas is going to get in the 30s here, I would think, with good weather. Here's the other thing about Green Bay: middling stats on defense, and if you look who they played. First of all, there aren't a lot of good offenses in the NFL, and the few good offenses, they haven't played any of them. They didn't play the 49ers. They didn't play the Cowboys. They didn't play the Dolphins or the Bills or the Ravens. So it's a lot of, NFC South teams. It's Nick Mullins. It's Fields. No offense. It's the lesser team. So I think they're in for a rough day defensively. I think Dallas is going to light them up.
Yeah, I think I do too. And I'd be a little bit, I would maybe wait to live bet it on second thought, because this could be one of those Jordan Love comes in, just looks like a rookie, even though he's been there 4 years. This is essentially his rookie year. Dallas, what they do to teams at home, and then they just completely look at the opposite next week. So up to you for sure. I even though my number agrees with it, I think the upside lies on Dallas, and I do like your team total play. As long as Green Bay doesn't slow it down that much, just stop those first downs is what they got to do. Stop those 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s. If they can do that, they're golden. Rams, Lions minus 3.5. Hey, God, is it 3.5? I should get an updated line here for you. I write these.
I think there's both. Both are out there.
Okay, both are out there. DraftKings is 3. Total is 51.5. So why don't you get started on this one?
I'm one of the few. I think I like the Lions. I think this is discounting them a lot. I think, we've talked about this as a potential matchup for a few weeks. We knew it would be Stafford, possibly going back to Detroit and all those storylines and Goff, McVay, all that stuff. I was thinking you maybe get 4.5, 5 with the Rams, 3 is a little much. They're a little too trendy for me. And I'm not one of these, hey, fade the public guys. I don't care who other people bet for the most part. I just read the game and use my own, handicapping instincts, whatever. I just think this is discounting Detroit. It's dismissive of what they've done. This is a team that's a play away from being the 2 seed, probably should have been the 2 seed if they beat Dallas that night. A Rams team that, look, they've overachieved. It's been a nice season, but a lot of their wins, a lot of their production is against, the crappy Cardinals and the Seahawks who weren't very good. That's 4 of their wins right there. That's like, 40, 50% of their wins, 40% of their wins.
Yeah.
I just think Detroit can stop the run. They're going to have a huge home crowd. That place is going to be dying to help their team win. They haven't hosted a playoff game in 30 years, so they're going to be loud. That helps the pass rush. They're pretty good against the run. You need to be able to pressure Stafford to bother him. I think they can do that. I don't think the Rams are good on defense. I don't think they're good on special teams. They have a lousy kicker. Remember, they lost that game against the Ravens because of special teams. I think Detroit wins this game. I think the Rams are a little too trendy.
All right. Well, I disagree.
Let's go. Put the boxing gloves on. Let's do this.
I love it, baby. Now, here's the thing. The Jared Goff revenge game. Take him out. I'm the better quarterback than Stafford. Well, you better win a Super Bowl then, kid. It's not going to come that easy, I don't think. I was wrong about the Rams. I had a nice middle, too, and I had more on the under 7.5.
Yeah,
and I was like, over 6.
I know me too.
I had a beautiful freaking middle on that. But anyways, it's a situation where I look at a couple different things, and you kind of used it part of a handicap earlier. I got the quarterback here. I think but Stafford is better than Goff, and just from a total experience standpoint, at least. I know Goff's lighting it up, but I think that's just because of their great Johnson, their great offense coordinator. Since week 9, the Rams ranked 6th in EPA per play. Lions are 4th. Since week 9, the Rams ranked 16th in defensive EPA. The Lions are 27th. So it's just like that defense for the Lions has been bad. They should have lost the first game of the Bears. They lost the second game of the Bears. And I don't go A plus B is C, as you know. But, I just see a lot of upside because you got the quarterback with the Rams. You got the coach. I will definitely take McVay over some of those boneheaded mistakes that Campbell's been making. I know he's an in-your-face type coach. It's a big game, but coaching advantage, quarterback advantage, Aaron Donald, game changer on the defensive front, is coming in rested. They were smart to rest their guys last week a little bit while Detroit busted their ass.
That was crazy. I know.
To try to move a spot. I doubt Laporta plays. They're acting like, I think they're just trying to save face with him, saying that he's okay. I'm not sure about that. I have to relook at that. But I took 3.5. It's a lot of 3s and 3.5s are gone, but I still like the Rams at 3. So we'll have some disagreement on this one, my friend.
It's nice when we disagree. So there's 3s out there. So if you like it, lay the 3. If you like the dog, take the 3.5. Detroit. I don't know. I've heard anybody pick them. Might as well not show up to the game. Everyone loves the Rams or everyone's sleeper. I don't know. I got a feeling.
Same with the Dolphins, my friend.
No, that's true. 100%.
That's what worries me. I mentioned my buddy. I'm like, dude, nobody's on the Dolphins.
I think the Dolphins,
except the sports books.
I know. No, I know. I think the Dolphins, though, it's more valor. It's like, all right, their injury, the cold. Detroit, it's like, I don't know. People are just a little dismissive of their season. The other thing with the Rams, too, I think they're 1-6 against playoff teams this year. So I don't know. It'll be a fun game. I'm excited to go head to head. Either way, one of us will be getting a text when that game ends with a "I told you so." So it'll be fun.
Dang right, my friend. That's how it is. If you're down here, do it for a beer.
I might even reverse jinx you. If you get a lead, I'll be, oh, congrats, good call. I do that stuff. I'm a little bit of a scumbag like that. I'm a scumbag. I admit. Yeah,
that is horrible.
I'm a bad person.
Freaking Bush League, dude.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now the Monday night game, which is always weird. Eagles at Bucks. Bucks +3, total 44. I could get a good injury report on this game. I say +3, but it's literally between 2 and 3. It's like DraftKings is -102 +3 on the Bucks, and I just or laying it with the Eagles. I'm sorry, -102. It's just lots of questions here, and man, I don't remember a worse finish to a season from a Super Bowl champ. That was competing all season, at least, than the Eagles.
Boy, if there was one game I want nothing to do with it, it would be this one. It's funny. These teams played in Tampa on Monday night in week 3 on ESPN, and now they're going to play a Monday night in Tampa on ESPN again. That game was 25-11 Philly. That might as well have been like 3 lifetimes ago with everything that happened since. And remember, that was 25-11, and Tampa, I think, got a late touchdown. That was not even as close as that 25.
No, it wasn't.
Final.
I remember.
But Philly's a mess. You can't lay points with this Philly team on the road. I don't love this Tampa team. I mean, I watched a lot of Tampa Carolina last week. Unfortunately, I had the Saints to win the division. I had all sorts of bets on that. Carolina probably could have beat them, should have beat them. I know it was 9-0 Tampa. Carolina fumbled going in. They had another touchdown called back. Shark reached across the goal line and fumbled, which was a terrible, terrible play. They missed a field goal. It was just pulling teeth trying to get trying to get Carolina yards into the end zone. But Baker was limping around. I don't love either team right now. I ideally like to fade both teams, but they're playing each other, so you can't. I'll take the 3. When in doubt, just take the points. I'll take the home dog. I will say if the bracket lines up where whoever wins this game goes to San Francisco on a short week, good luck with that.
Just freaking pound San Fran on the openers,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Eagles, Bucks, man. I mean, this game's hard to handicap because how banged up the Eagles are. I mean, so the Bucks have a great passing team. Baker has played well. Evans has been just freaking amazing again. I stayed away from Evans in fantasy football. Whoever got him as a late rounder, because everyone was staying away, really lucked out. Goddard's been good. The issue to me is the secondary, Reed Blankenship and Darius Slay for the Eagles. Are they going to both play? I can't get reports because it's a Monday night game. I'm assuming that they're going to be okay. I think they sat some guys. They started off a little bit hard with the Giants, and then they started getting banged up, and then they pulled everyone. I expect AJ Brown to play, but he did bang up his knee. That finger that went backwards for Hurts, he's okay, right? I'm pretty sure he's fine.
I think so, but again, it's death by 1,000 cuts. They're all banged up. Smith and Brown. It feels like there's there's more than football too. It seems like there's some team chemistry issues with them. I mean, it just seems like it goes deeper than football. Again, I'm not in the locker room. I have no idea, but it seems like their issues go a little deeper than football because you don't collapse like this where everything's okay. I feel like whenever they lose in the playoffs, and they're going to lose at some point in the playoffs, they're not winning the Super Bowl. We're going to hear the story. Hey, this guy was unhappy with that guy. Sirianni. There's some. Feels like there's more that meets the eye with that team. That's just a strange collapse.
On the other side, though, Buccaneers, they against the worst team in the league, that touchdown that they're lucky they freaking got called back.
Yep.
I mean, this Tampa team is not deserving either. The way they choked against the Saints the week before that. I was on Tampa minus 2.5. Felt like a sucker bet. And it was when I took it. I was like, Jesus. And the Saints, I was very low on too. And Baker's hurt. I mean, he's not on the injury report, but the dude was limping around bad. And he's going to play. He's going to play through it. He's a tough kid. I got a lot of respect for Baker over the last 2 years. I got to tell you, I really gained a lot of respect for him. But he's just not the winning caliber that they need.
Yeah.
And I don't think their offensive line is going to stop Hassan Reddick either. So I'm going to lean the 3. I'm going to wait more, and I'm going to try to find a 2.5 if I decide to play the Eagles. But this is a low confidence type situation. I'm sure you're not super confident on your taking the points either. A lot of people are teasing the Tampa Bay Bucks too, from what I noticed. I mean, that's the only other teaser leg really that people are considering. But I disagree with the teaser leg too. I can see the Eagles blowing them out too. So
high variance game. I agree. I'd be very careful just getting involved in this game whatsoever.
All right, good stuff. So for a little recap, we're definitely taking that teaser. Texans and Eagles, or Texans and Cowboys here. We both like the Chiefs at -4, -4.5, whatever you can get, money line, anywhere around that area. Steelers, Bills, we both lean under, and too many points there. Packers, Cowboys, we already covered. We're going to take the teaser. And Rams, Lions, we have disagreement on. I took 3.5. You took 3. So maybe it lands in 3. Who cares? Who knows? But that's interesting. And then obviously Eagles, Bucks, slight disagreement, but now confidence. Let's move on to some college basketball, my friend. And I'm going to talk. I have a couple questions about that too. We love talking a little college basketball. And I always like to talk about teams trending up or trending down. I don't know if you got to pick one yet, but can you give me a team that might have some value that's underrated, like on the Ken Palms, Torvik, Haslametrics, stuff like that?
You can go first because the reason I came on this podcast is because I'm behind on college basketball. Now I get to pick your brain. So I've been all invested in football. A lot of ways, football for me ends, or college basketball starts for me really in earnest. And I've been betting, I've been watching it, but it starts once the national championship ends. Then it is just 2 months of all college basketball. Then before you know it, with the later Super Bowl, You wake up, the Super Bowl ends, and you're just a few weeks away from the conference tournament. So I do like that aspect of the Super Bowl being later. But you go first while I look here.
Yeah, since I don't do NBA and NHL, that's the only other sport I can do. So that's why I do pay attention early. All right, I'll start. I have 3. I got Georgetown as number 1. I did win a bet with them at home against Seton Hall, and they're 185th on KenPom, but Cooley is just too cool of a coach to not improve this team. So when you have a good coach changing a culture, you slowly have to look for the upswing, right? So I see Georgetown upswing. There are going to be some 20-point dogs coming up against the Novas, against the Creightons, against the UConns and stuff like that. They're going to sneak a couple covers there. And then when they're at home, they're just going to get better and better. And you're going to be like shocked. You're going to be like, wow, this KenPom team at 185, you're going to see, guys like John Rawstream tweeting about it. Like, this is college basketball, and then here you are. I think that's Georgetown's one of those teams, and they do have some size there. Number 2 is Texas A&M. They're 35th on KenPom, and they slipped when Tyrese Radford was injured there, Will. But Radford's been back in for a few games now, and he got his feet wet. They had a couple of tough away games, one at Auburn. That final score wasn't as close as it was. It was actually like tied late into the second half. So I like Texas A&M. I think they're more of a top 20, top 25 team than top 35 on KenPom. So you're going to get some value on them. And then, believe it or not, Florida State, 98th on KenPom. Their defense is starting to pick up some. The guys there finally maturing, starting to enjoy the taste of winning. So I think Florida State, believe it or not, in an ACC, which is a little strange this year, I think a little weak this year too, minus North Carolina and Duke. I like North Carolina better than Duke too. I like Florida State a little bit, making some upsets.
I'll go St. John's. I think that Patino, it takes a little time for his guys to buy in, for him to get him to play the defense he wants his guys to play. But I think we've seen it in bits and pieces. It was a nice win against, was it Providence last night? So
close win against Providence.
It was close. I was watching that early. They looked good. Yeah. They looked good early on, but you see it in little spurts with him. And look, you could say what you want about him from a personal standpoint, and bouncing around job to job, off the court stuff. That guy can coach. He's going to turn that program around. I like that there's a little rivalry with him and Hurley. I think that makes it fun, makes it a little old school. St. John's will be one for me, and I'll go with Bama just because their offense, and you figure if they can somehow piece together stops, whether it's scheme, personnel, just sheer effort, intensity, the offense is so important. The offense is going to travel. If the defense is fixable, maybe you can get something out of Bama here, who's been terrible just defending on the ball. They've been hard to watch at times. If they can ever fix the defense, and that guy's a good coach too, I'll go with Bama. I know you don't like it.
Not a lot, because they're already 8th on KenPom, and their best win is against Oregon. I mean, without Brandon Miller and Javon Quinterly, I feel like they beat up on the bad teams. I don't know. I'll disagree with that one, but I do. St. John's was one of my considerations for up, because they're 36 on KenPom, and I think they're better than that. That Providence win was a little bit more of a flat spot, and if you look at some of the away from home metrics, St. John's is one of the best away from home teams, and they're going to have 2 road games coming up where you're going to catch them as a pretty sweet dog, or possibly just less of a favorite. I mean, they're going to Creighton, and they're supposed to be 8-point dogs on Saturday, right? I'll take St. John's there. I know Creighton's a very good team, but St. John's is just gritty, and Patino's got them playing some defense. I'll probably put a little bet on them. So those are my thoughts on that. But my fade teams, I have a few of those. And what's funny? It's easier for me, Will, to find fade teams than actually teams to back. It's funny. It's just so easy. I'm going to start with USC, and it's mostly when they're on the road. But I think Bronny James is just a distraction, and it motivates other teams to want to just blow them out. LeBron James kid, he gets anything he wants. I am going to show you guys what a college basketball. I mean, if I was a coach, that's what I'd be like. Look, man, you're playing against, a star's son. If you want to become a star, this is what you do. And I just think they're a target. They have a target on their back because of it. Next is Gonzaga, number 23 on KenPom. And to be honest with you, Will, I took Santa Clara tonight at +9, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's getting down to +8 now. And they're at home against Gonzaga, and Santa Clara has just been crazy good. they finally came back to earth without Timmy and a couple of those guys. I don't think their ranking is correct because if you're 55th in effective field goal and your defense is suspect, you are not the 23rd best team in the nation if you're Gonzaga. They need to be in the top 10 effective field goal like they normally are if they're going to be considered. I think this team drops. So Gonzaga's one. Villanova's one even on Ken. I have 26 on Ken Palm. I think they're more in the top 40. I didn't even like them much before Justin Moore had his injury. I think they're very overrated and will keep faltering under Kyle Neptune. I do not like Kyle Neptune as a coach. I think he was the wrong choice. And those are my three.
What do you think about Michigan State? That's always been more of a postseason coach than regular season coach. 9-6, 17th in Ken Palm. Is that justified in your mind?
No, not at all. I just had a talk with a friend of mine about Michigan State. I think they're overpriced. They're overvalued. I think they're a much better home team than road team. Now, when they beat Baylor, they were red freaking hot, and everybody looks back to that game. It was a semi-home game. It was played in Detroit, at their arena there in Detroit where the Pistons play. Forgot the name of it offhand. But it's just the part where I think that some of these guys just end up just staring at each other. They lost a big name last year who's been a leader on that team in Joey Hauser. He was their 3-point shot maker. He was kind of their fourth quarter guy. I mean, Tyson Walker's pretty good. AJ Hoggard's good. Malik Hall's big. He's been there forever. I feel like that dude's been in college for 30 years. But it's just a bunch of guys that sometimes look for someone else to take the rock when it's time, crunch time. It's just almost like they don't have that superstar, in my opinion, that sometimes you need in that kind of a team. It's not like a balanced swing offense where you run pass the ball, play defense like a Wisconsin.
Is there a Florida Atlantic this year? Is there a sleeping giant that's a mid-major that can get to an Elite Eight Final Four?
Here's the thing. Florida Atlantic's ranked 21, right? I'm not going to use, you can't use that.
No. Right? Is there this year's Florida Atlantic where they're going to be an 8-9 seed, mid-major?
A lot of people say James Madison. I disagree with that. Their schedule's been absolute freaking cake. I'm going to go with Grand Canyon.
Wow. Right? 61 in Ken Palm.
Yeah, 61 in Ken Palm, but they beat number 58 San Francisco. They beat San Diego State by 6 or 7 points, number 22 San Diego State. They're kind of just creeping a little bit. You're not going to – in this conference, the Western Athletic Conference, you are not going to get some great value on them or anything.
Right.
You're going to be mostly betting them as large favorites, but there's the Grand Canyon here. Their home court is just,
it's amazing.
Oh, dude, the kids just go freaking nuts. It's so fun. And they're going to have a cakewalk coming through. Tarleton State, Seattle is going to be their toughest game, ranking 114th. It's just like these guys are going to walk in. They can lose their conference championship. And the fact that they beat San Diego State, Liberty, San Francisco, and that if they just stay with that one loss against South Carolina, they're going to be in at large anyway. So
that's Bryce Drew's the coach still, right? The kid with the shot or was it Valparaiso all those years ago, that buzzer beater in the tournament?
Oh God, Bryce Drew years ago. I was it Valpo? I don't remember who it was.
I thought it was Valpo upsetting Missouri, where it was like a catch. It was like a full court pass, and then they threw it to him for the three. I think that's what I'm remembering, like 98, 99, long time ago now.
That's fun, man. I bet you can get just a rock solid price on them to make the Final Four or something right now.
Triple digits, you think?
Well, they better be freaking triple digits. Yeah,
I
would bet it if it wasn't triple digits.
If I find it, I'm betting that. If you find that, let me know. And if I find that, because those in Connecticut, you can't bet futures to win the title in NCAA football, NCAA basketball. Obviously, you can't bet anything UConn here. That's a Connecticut state law. So I'm in Connecticut, and again, I have different markets where they're not like DraftKings and FanDuel where I can bet stuff, but it's hard to find fair prices on to make the Final Four. But if you see something triple digits on Grand Canyon, that'll be a little squad ride. We'll ride. I'll ride with you on that one. That's a fun one.
400 to 1 to win the national championship. So that's a nice one.
What a story that would be.
That would be amazing. Let's see what's to make the Final Four. 75 to 1 to make the Final Four. Not bad. But here's the thing. Your triple digits is what I meant for the championship. 75 to 1 Final Four. Get the right bracket. Win 4 games in a row.
Even win 3 wins in a row. Be in a situation where the 4th game you can kind of
hedge that
profit.
baby.
You wonder if you'd be better with the money line rollover, but sometimes you're not. Sometimes, like I had Florida Atlantic 40-1 last year. I gave it out on the air. It was one of my great calls. I obviously wish I bet more, but it was a nice little score for me. And people are always like, "Oh no, you're better off money line rollover." Well, what happened? Purdue lost as a 1 seed, and then all of a sudden, instead of being 8-point underdogs in round 1, they were like 17-point favorites to Fairleigh Dickinson, and that screwed up the whole money line rollover thing.
Yeah, it did. Yep. That's sometimes that happens, and man, there's just some avoiding teams you want to avoid, like Purdue's and the Tennessee's and stuff in the tournament. But I'm excited already, man. You're getting my blood boiling for March Madness. If you need to get down a little bit, we'll talk a little bit after the show. All right. Too. So let's go to the first game. Before that, I want to give you a bet that I just took today. And it's a homer bet because I'm wearing the hat. But you look at it this way. The Big Ten regular season, Purdue's still favored at minus like 200 or something like that. Conference winner. Purdue's even favored to win the NCAA championship, it makes no sense either. But Big Ten regular season, Wisconsin is 4-0 in the Big Ten. They already have a win at Michigan State and at Ohio State. They won 2 road games already. Nobody's done that yet. And then you have Purdue that's lost 2 games. Wisconsin's got to play them twice, but they're already ahead by 2. The only other one that gets in the way is Illinois but Wisconsin gets them at home. They only get a 1 game versus Illinois and at home. And then the rest is just the rest of the Big Ten. But Wisconsin at 4-1 when they have a 2-game lead already on Purdue. When Purdue is minus 240 to win the Big Ten, Wisconsin plus 400, Illinois plus 1200. I think there's value on Wisconsin, man, if they stay a little bit healthy.
And that's to win the regular season title?
The regular season, not even the tournament.
That's a good bet. Yeah, that's a good bet. You found one there. That's a good bet.
Yeah, I think it's a good bet because just the fact that
what book has that?
DraftKings has it right now. Yeah, the rest of the books are minus. The rest of the books are 200, 220. DraftKings throwing up plus 400. I think that's definitely worth looking at. So.
And it's not like you have to tie up your money for that long. I mean, we're already into January. Conference play ends, end of February, first week of March at latest. So, 2 months. It's not like it's, tying up for a year. Like a Tom Brady retirement next team bet, for example.
Exactly, baby. Exactly. Well, we're just ticking down the minutes here. Let's get to some games.
Sure.
I'll get started here because we both picked the same game, and we'll get to that last since we both picked it. I'll start with just a quick handicap here on Texas A&M versus Kentucky. I expect Kentucky about a pick 'em, right? Actually, this is at Texas A&M. Sorry, I wrote it down wrong. Kentucky at Texas A&M. I expected around pick. Some people might even think that Kentucky should be favored 154. I think the fact that I said before, like Tyrese Bradford's being healthy now makes a difference. A&M is the best team with second chance points. Their field goal percentage has been down this year, but I think that there's positive regression coming from that because Radford's back and a couple other things. They played great in the SEC last year. They're number 1 in offensive rebounding, number 1. But here's Kentucky's home road splits. They're 61% shooting at home, 49% shooting on the road. 49 is not bad on the road, but when you're playing a very good defensive team, Buzz Williams, Texas A&M, I think A&M wins this game. I'm taking A&M on this game as long as I'm getting a 2 or under.
I'm going to ride with you there. I picked the theme. You told me pick 3 games. I picked 3 games, all teams in bounce back spots coming off losses. We'll start Kansas, Oklahoma. We agreed. We think this line is probably going to be in the 4.5, 5 range.
I would say 4. I would say 5. And you know what? I'm okay with it. It's a little higher personally.
Yep. I just think this is a spot for Kansas. That was a bad loss last night at UCF. Boy, it's strange. You guys, I think we're on the same age. Guys our age, man. These conferences are so embedded in us. So when you see Kansas UCF as a conference game, it doesn't even compute. It's like, what world are we living in? But to me, Oklahoma on the road, this is a tough spot for them. Kansas, that place will be rocking. I will lay the short-ish number here. Obviously, home court, so advantage. Good spot for them. I'll lay it with the Jayhawks here on Saturday.
For sure. Both teams are coming off losses, like you said. Kansas is definitely worse at UCF. I was looking at that game flipping back. I'm like, this is seriously going to happen? Kansas's schedule ranks 30th in the nation. Oklahoma's ranks 241st. They had a cake schedule. They are not really a 13-1 team. Kansas also is going to have a near proximity advantage close to the rim. That's where Oklahoma really struggles to defend. I think just Kansas with some of their big guys there, like Hunter Dickinson that transferred in, obviously. Furphy, Kevin McCullough's big. He's a 6'7" guy. He should be able to drive the lane. I would lay Kansas up to 7 in this
Oh,
situation.
wow. Okay.
Personally. I would. So I'm very confident with you on that one. So next game, we have Alabama versus Mississippi State. And Mississippi State, I'm guessing they're going to be +2. I think Alabama is going to be a road favorite. Now, Mississippi State just had a big win against Tennessee last night, which makes me a little bit more bummed out because I thought I was going to get a better spread on it, but obviously not. But the thing about this game that I like is that Alabama, they're going to run. They're going to run a ton. They rank 2nd in pace on KenPom. They are a very offensive team. Their defense has struggled since last year. Mississippi State, if you've noticed, when Tennessee picked the tempo up last night, I had the under. It was 57 points in the first half. I was under 139. I thought it was golden. They scored 92 points in the second half with no overtime. I was like, are you freaking serious? I went 1-1 last night. The only one that hit was Ole Miss for me. But either way, I noticed that Mississippi State will play at the pace that other teams sometimes will dictate. And Alabama's good enough to dictate a pace against the Mississippi State team. I'm taking the over. It's going to be around 155. They're going to look at these misconstrued defensive stats from Mississippi State, who's had a pretty easy strength of schedule. Alabama's had a much harder strength of schedule. I'm taking the over.
Second game, another bounce back spot. Purdue off a terrible loss in Nebraska, loses by 16 points. They are hosting Penn State on Saturday. What do we think this line's going to be? Around 3 touchdowns, 20? Does it touch 21? Are we in the ballpark?
Let's call it. So KenPom has 22. I think it's going to be lower, like 20, but we can call it 20 or 21 is fine.
I'll take the points. I just think this is a lot of points in conference. I think this line will be inflated because of the fact that it's a bounce back spot. I still have questions about Purdue, the guards, the coach. You mentioned they're a favorite to win it all. There are better ways to spend your money. Maybe one of these years will do it. I mean, Jay Wright forever wasn't a big tournament coach, and eventually they got through. So maybe, at some point Purdue does break through here, but I still don't trust this team laying this much of a number. This is a lot of points. I will take Penn State plus the 20, we'll call it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of points for a Big Ten conference game. How interested is Purdue into blowing them out? I don't know. And I do have questions about Purdue's guards. They are coming off a loss, which usually gives them a little bump, but so is Penn State. Penn State had a really tough loss last night against Northwestern. The team finally played tough, but what really sours me on Penn State is their inside play. I mean, when I was on Penn State, I think a week ago. I'm going to pull up who they played here in a minute. And I think it was at Michigan State. They got so bad beat that it was like by 30 or 40 points, something like that. 92-61. It's 31-point difference. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Is that how they are on the road? They haven't won one road game. I guess they did keep it close with Maryland a little bit. I'm not kind of down on Maryland. I was actually picking them higher in the early season. It's going to be an interesting game. Anything below 20, I would lean Purdue. Anything above 20, I would lean Penn State. So I guess maybe we'll get that 21 for you, Will.
We'll take it. Are you your third one yet?
I did my third one, but I like the one you picked for your third one because I think that you and I are going to be on the same side on this one.
Colorado probably laying 6.5 or so at home against USC. You mentioned USC is a team looking to fade. I totally agree with that. Colorado was riding high this time, a week ago. That Arizona trip, that swing trip is always tricky at Arizona, where they lost by about 175 points. I think it was 97-50. And then they lost to a really down Arizona State team, and then lost again a couple days ago to Cal. In Boulder's a wholly different situation at building. The altitude, it's a very tough place to play. Off 3 straight losses. A USC team we don't like. I'll lay the number here with Colorado. I think Colorado bounces back.
I'll lay this one up to 10, to be honest with you, and I don't think it's going to be up there. Absolutely. Colorado's got the best home court in basketball. You follow the lines, baby. Up, down, up, super dip down. It's only coming back up for this one, baby. That's what I like looking at these trend lines sometimes. It's time for them to rebound. They are a fantastic home team. As a matter of fact, I think their home road splits and their field goal percentage is pretty ridiculous here. I'm just going to pull it right up for people to see. And wow, Colorado State's been good. Yeah, 60.8% at home field goal percentage and 50.6 on the road. That's a pretty big discrepancy, but I love the fact that they step it up at home. You know, this is a spot where they're going to want to beat the heck out of USC. Bronny James didn't start the season, and I'm sure the kid's going to get better, but there's really no good star power on there. I mean, they have that top recruit, right? He hasn't done nothing yet for USC. I'm forgetting his name offhand. I'm going to pull him up real quick, see if some people can see it. Isaiah Collier here. You know, he's taking over 25% of the shots. His field goal percentage from 3 is only 31%. Now he's got to go on a road in a tough environment in Colorado where it's up in the mountains, a little bit harder to breathe. This is a pass game for them. Yeah, I'm with you on Colorado 100%. I think they do it. And I think you're going to get a decent spread. I don't think it's going to be 7 or 8. I think you might get 6.5, 7 on this. You know, I'm hoping. So we are in agreement, my friend.
Yeah, this one might be one where, you know, you take the first half and then you double down second half if you really like to press your advantage, especially second half if you figure that that's when the altitude takes over. So, yeah, this has been a trend for years. Colorado just a machine at home. We talked about Grand Canyon being one of these teams you just sort of blindly back at home. Colorado at home, and you pick your spots and you can do very well backing them.
100%. So Sunday you have an interesting slate. You're going to have FAU at home against UAB. You're going to have Illinois home against Maryland. I mean, these are all massive spreads. You got Michigan State home against Rutgers. That's going to be like a 16-point spread in itself. Oh, man. Georgetown. I mean, I was just talking about Georgetown, but they're going to be 25-point dogs to UConn. That might not be the one I get on Georgetown, by the way. I like UConn a lot still. that might not be one I back Georgetown. I think Georgetown's up and coming. But no, it's Utah Stanford's a little bit more interesting. That could be a good game because, but you know what? Everyone's going to be dialed in on the NFL a little bit on Sunday. Yep. These big Sunday games are, as the NFL dwindles down, are just going to become bigger and bigger. But Will, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. I always have just a blast you coming on, and I wish I tracked our record of our picks because it seems like whenever you come on, we do very well. Where can our listeners get your great information and new shows?
Yeah, appreciate you having me. I'm on VSiN a few times a week, Lombardi Line and numbers games, so look out for that. Go Boys Discord, and then my new podcast, Shoulda Bet More, one word, shoulda. Again, go back and listen at Steve Fezikon, have had Gil Alexander, Chris the Bear Felica, Mike Sando, Aaron Schatz. You're going to be coming on at some point in the next week or two. We'll do a little home and home. And then on the Bear Bets podcast with Fox, that just dropped today. So busy time of the year. It's sad, man. It's a little sad. Football, it's starting to wind down. But like I said, before you know it, conference tournaments in college basketball, NCAA tournament, there are better days ahead still.
There's still great days ahead, man, than baseball, obviously. But Will,
yes,
I look forward to texting you on that Detroit Lions versus the Rams game this weekend, my friend. You enjoy, all right?
You too, man. Thanks.